13 years at Shah Islamic Bank, and a brief stint on the other side, facilitating programs for EIBFS and now at FAB, and looking forward to this association as well. Thank you for inviting me. I wear, apart from my banker's hat, I worked very closely with students at the higher colleges of technology, Zayed University, Abu Dhabi University, particularly talking about employability, the need to make oneself employable, have in fact put together a formula for an employability lab as well, looking at the appraisal forms that corporates use, particularly banks use for new joiners. So it's an honor. My young friends, this is not going to be a serious technical discussion. It's 5:30 in the evening, so sit back, and I just wanted to take you through a very light-hearted journey of what a banker goes through typically. And this is one of the things that I would have loved to have spoken to my 18 or 19-year-old self, because you guys are at the cusp of a very important stage in your life. The decision that you take today will have a long bearing on what happens in later life. So please don't fall for easy shortcuts. My friends are doing that, so let me choose a particular career. That seems to be the local fad. Let me do that. Everyone seems to be talking about it. This is a decision that you should be very mindful of. You should deliberately ponder, evaluate yourself, see what's happening in the industry, and choose the right path for you. Having said that, my job here is to genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, convince you why a career in banking is definitely going to help you in the future. So, the first thing that I want to discuss is a very common adage among you youngsters, where everyone says, let's follow our passion. Yeah, following the passion is the right way to get ahead in your career. uh, 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 Based on research, I want to first of all shoot that myth down and tell you that following your passion, exclusively following your passion, might not be great career advice. Yeah, so let me start sharing my screen. Doctor, may I do that?
Yes, please.
Here we go. I hope you can see my screen. Uh, the problem is, this is what everyone says nowadays, right? From high school students to students of your age, even to seniors. If I could find a job that's aligned with my passion that I love doing, then I don't have to work a day in my life. I really don't have to struggle. In fact, this is so wrong. This is so wrong because the corporate world is not really bothered about your passion. Let me give you an example. I love eating cheesecakes. I love cheesecake. Yeah. Now, just because I love cheesecake, a restaurant that makes cheesecakes or a kitchen that makes cheesecakes might not employ me. I can't just go there and say, man, I love cheesecakes. The employer or the interviewer might ask me, okay, so can you make great cheesecake? Because at the end of the day, the corporate sector wants certain strengths and skills in you, which could help the organization achieve its results. And that's the reason we're being paid, right? It's not about the passion that you have in your heart. It's about your strengths and the skills that you have, which could translate into results for the organization. At the end of the day, if somebody is paying you, the organization expects at least 3 or 4 times more in return. So do you have it in you to deliver those results? So passion alone is not something that's going to really find us a wonderful job. And let's be honest, friends, how many of us, if you take a group of 100, how many of us really do have passions that can translate into lifelong careers? Very few of us, right? Just because we have a camera, we can't aspire to be, or to become an ace photographer and to be successful in that particular career. And the sad news is, based on research, if you let's say you follow your passion, yeah, now what happens is, when you do something because you love it all by yourself, it's very different from doing it when you work for somebody else. Now, when you work for somebody else, there's a business model, there are processes, people to get along with, customers to meet, and you basically work for somebody else. So what people have research has shown is that when you convert your passion into your profession, usually people lose the passion, because the world is very different. So instead of just dismissing the thought, what I want to tell you is, I want to introduce another equation. Instead of your passion, you should be focusing on your strengths. What are some of those things that you're really good at? What are some of those things that give you a competitive edge that makes you better than others? Okay, that gives you an edge over others. And if you link your career to your strengths, then what happens is when you start working, because it's aligned with your strengths, you might start doing things well. Your bosses will appreciate you. And when they appreciate you and they see that you're doing well, they might empower you. They might give you higher responsibilities and you start doing even bigger things, more profound things. People around you will admire you. You'll get a lot of good friends. Your customers will love you. And that'll lead to you developing passion for your job. So you don't have to beforehand be passionate about a particular job. All you have to do is choose a job that aligns with your strength and be passionate about your own success, about your own career. And that passion for the job will automatically come in. Now, having said that, let me tell you why you should surely consider a career in banking. Because a bank is not just one industry or one domain. There are probably 50 or 60 domains within a bank. So at a party, if you meet, let's say, two guys and one says, I'm a banker, the other one says, I'm a banker too. And if you ask them what they do, you'll be surprised because they'll be doing totally different things. Yeah, personal banking is different from corporate banking, which is different from the control aspects of banking, which is again very different from the enablement part of banking, international banking, Sharia banking. Everything is so different. So banks have opportunities for every single one of us. Whatever be our strengths, we will definitely find a place to get into a bank and thrive and do well and get accolades and rise and do well in our career. So this is exactly why I say, instead of choosing a career based on your passion, find out what your strengths are. There are a lot of ways to do that: aptitude tests, speaking to your peers, your professors, people who know you well, and then choose banking, because we will find a career that is apt for your strengths. Okay. Now, another reason why you should choose banking. Now, this is duh. You might tell me, why do I need a facilitator to tell me that? But just ponder about it. Okay. We've heard about the fourth industrial revolution, right? If you can go to the website, will the robot take my job? Yeah, now that's a very fancy URL, but check it out. Will the robot take my job? And you enter jobs in there. The site, which is again AI based, will throw the chances of your job being taken up by a robot in the near future. So now please take this seriously, because while we speak, the fourth industrial revolution is sweeping over and jobs are changing. So when you choose a career, you have to make sure that the career you choose will be there by the time you pass out, or it wouldn't have evolved into something very, very different, that your skills are no longer valid. So you have to choose an industry which is at the cutting edge of this change. My brother-in-law recently purchased a Tesla car. He spent a fortune for it. But then he was telling me, he goes into a parking lot, the car automatically identifies that it is in a parking lot. And then all he has to do is get out of the car and say, go park. And it goes and parks. Or the car can follow the person all around. Yeah. So this is fancy. So I was asking him, why did you spend such a lot of money on a fancy vehicle like this? He said, Ibrahim, this is at the leading edge. This is at the cutting edge. In 5 years' time, every car is going to do that. But I want to be at the forefront of this change. So if you want to be in an industry where, I'm not exaggerating, while we speak, yeah, we have bots crawling all over, answers, questions, analysis. We used to have systems where people used to think about strategy. Now you just enter the variables in and the strategy is delivered to you. In the banking industry, robotic process automation, which is happening, is taking away those mundane, task oriented, routine, repetitive jobs, so that people are being asked to do something more value adding. So if you want to make sure that you join an industry where your jobs will be relevant by the time you pass out, and the jobs will continue to be relevant, you have to join the banking sector, because the banking sector has embraced robotic process automation and is at the frontier of bringing in that change. Extremely important. Uh, what I want to next tell you now, I want to remove the hat of a banker and put my other hat, which is that of a behavioral psychologist. Okay, this is my favorite part. Now, why should you choose any career? What are some of the things that you should expect when you choose a career, when you make the decision A or B? First, let's be open. Yeah, first is of course money, right? Now we can be very romantic about a lot of other things, but you of course need money. By the time you meet your friends after passing out, and a couple of years later, the limit of your credit card and the car you drive and the clothes you wear, the holiday spots that you go to, the hotels that you stay in. Definitely, money and fame and riches is very much a part of our society. We cannot deny that. Now, if you want to choose a career, make sure you choose a career where you're paid well. Okay, so banking sector, particularly for youngsters, is one of the best paid industries. Yeah, so you can definitely choose banking sector for that one option. The second option is, especially to my young friends who are watching me, please bet on your own growth. Because in a lot of industries, when you join and you work with them for 5 years or 6 years, the value addition that you will have will not be that significant. I'm sorry to say it'll be minimal. Yeah. But in the banking sector, we've got, I head learning and development in the biggest bank in the UAE, and I can vouch for it. What really happens in terms of investing in people, no one does it as good as the banks do. So now, what's happening right now. It's not just the training programs. Now, EIBFS has designed learning journeys, right? Where you don't just attend training courses, you do projects and you work with mentors and there's output and you get your certificates. Now, what's happening in the banking sector is based on your job profile, automatically your skills are assessed by different people, your boss, your peers, okay? And based on your skills, content is curated and given to you. So you open up the portal, you probably will have a TED talk, you'll have a video, you'll have an assignment, you can go and do a project. It has come down to that stage where learning is personalized, just for you, just in time, and just enough. And if you happen to show potential, you're put into a talent pool, and oh my, that's when you get extra courses and chances to go for certification, and then you really become a much better version of yourself very, very, very soon. Now, I strongly believe in the power of human potential, and I believe that if you can remove the so-called barriers from people, barriers within and outside, we all can perform really, really, really well. And the banking sector is a place where you can. The third pillar is your sense of well-being when you work. None of us want to work in an environment which is toxic, right? Where people shout at each other, a lot of politics, and people try to stab you in the back and stuff like that. Unfortunately, a bit of that happens in the corporate world, but in the banking sector, there's so much of focus on employee well-being and employee engagement that there are a lot of surveys, a lot of focus group sessions that are happening where every time people are asking you, how do you like the environment, the opportunities that you get to learn, does your boss treat you well, does your colleagues treat you well, and based on that, corrective actions are taken. In fact, one industry that really focuses on culture, an engaging, productive, positive, happy, result oriented culture, that's banking. So you can rest assured, and a lot of budgets are being invested there as well. So you have wellness days, you have events where you can really refresh yourself and really enjoy. So that's the third reason. The fourth is a reason which is very close to my heart. I don't think many people look at banking that way, but you know, uh, at the end of the day, when we are working, all of us want to feel that we're doing something significant, right? That's why when we're young, typically when people ask you what do you want to be, the responses you get are, I want to be a military officer, I want to be a pilot, or I want to be a doctor, because all of us want to have that feeling that I'm doing something significant, I'm making an impact on others. Now think about this, guys. Look at the banking sector in terms of impact. When somebody who has just got his license, he has been dreaming of buying a car for a long time, and he's thinking of having his loved ones with him and cruising through the highway, and he wants to buy a car. Who does he come to? He comes to us. Or somebody wants to start a business, he wants to be an entrepreneur, and he's dreaming, I'll start with one restaurant, and then I'll grow into two, into five, and I become a millionaire. Who does he come to? He comes to a bank. Or somebody needs money for treatment, somebody needs money for a wedding, somebody needs money to travel, or somebody wants to put his dream house. Yes, he's been thinking of building castles in the air, literally. Now, who does he come to? So banking jobs is so impactful that you get that sense of, I'm doing something significant, and that adds to our self-esteem, that adds to our sense of self-worth as well. So these four reasons, yeah, undeniably point to the direction, when you're choosing a career, don't look left or right, come straight into banking. And with the number of banks that we have in the UAE, the number of opportunities for bankers in the UAE, number of partners that we have, like EIBF is in the UAE, we'll definitely take great care of you. I don't want to take much more time, but I was requested by Dr. Butt to speak on the, a typical day in the life of a banker. Okay, a typical day in the life of a banker. But I told Dr. Butt, that's going to be challenging because I can't do that, because you don't have one day in the life of a banker, because a banker could be doing different things, and because of that, these days are going to be extremely different. So what I want to do is I want to quickly talk about some personality types, yeah, and ask you which type you belong to. You could use the chat box. And by the way, guys, any questions, any comments, if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, please feel free to enter them in the chat box. Yeah. Now, let's look at your personality types. If you're somebody like me, yeah, extroverted, loves to talk, loves to meet new people, a lot of energy, yeah, likes to take action immediately, loves to be the center of action. We call them the extroverted kind of personality types. You have great jobs and careers in banking. You could be in sales. Like, for example, somebody has come to you and somebody wants to buy a credit card from you. You ask questions, you develop rapport with the person, you ask, you probe, and you understand that, oh, there's an opportunity to sell a car to this guy. And you sell the car. You're effectively solving his problem, right? You're getting him a car. It's a win-win situation. Similarly, if you want to get into the relationship management space, where you're not dealing with individual customers, you're dealing with corporates. So these big corporates that you have in UAE, when they want to expand, when they want to grow, they borrow. And you walk in, with your laptop and your suitcase, and then you understand the needs and you position a solution for them. And we're talking about big money. And you are the conduit between these organizations and the big funds that are required. You could be in the call center, you could be a branch manager, which is almost like a king in a branch, yeah, where you own the brand. You're like the CEO of a brand. So you meet your customers and you broker deals. It's a great profile to be. And also in the collections business, I don't know whether that's a very challenging place to work in a bank. A collection agent is somebody who will call you if you don't pay your credit card bills on time. So, imagine the challenge he has to go through. He cannot offend the customer because maybe the customer will pay, and then he'll continue to be a great customer of the bank. Or sometimes, he might push your patience a little bit. So you have to be assertive at the same time. You have to be friendly as well. So how do you manage that? Yeah. So that's again a great position for all the extroverts here watching the session. On the other hand, if you're introverted, like my wife, yeah, with all respect to her, if she prefers to just speak to herself, have a few close friends, instead of going out, prefers to probably binge watch Netflix or read a book, yeah, mind my own business, don't interrupt, don't talk to me much, yeah, I'm in my own world. Again, that's a haven. Banking sector is a haven for those personalities. Yeah, you can work in banking operations where somebody processes a check, something happens at the back end, right? Because money is transferred from one account to the other. When somebody transfers a amount of money from here, maybe to Egypt or to the US or to India, again, the process that happens, you process that. Every time you swipe something on a credit card, within 2 minutes or a minute, receipts are printed. But there are a lot of things that happen at the back end. You process that. Or if you want to be in the trade finance department where you facilitate trade between people, somebody wants to import something from China. So you call and you make a deal, and then you say, okay, send me the phones and I'll give you the money. And the guy says, no, you first give me the money, I'll send you the phone. So the banks act in between to facilitate trade. So that's again done in IT, in finance. So a lot of option even for the introverted crowd who are watching us. If you are the attention to detail, structured guys, again, like my wife, I keep telling her home is not like home center. She says everything has to be in its place. Nothing should be moved. Even if you walk into a house middle of the night and open the shoe rack, you'll see everything in structure and order. For those kind of people, okay, if you ask her to open a gift wrap box, she'll open it slowly, as if the gift wrapper, as if the box will get hurt. Yeah, these kind of people, great job opportunities in banking. You can be in risk management, where you really look at what kind of companies can we lend to, what kind of minimum salary should we fix, what documentations are required, which profiles should we avoid. Yeah, so that's a very exciting part to do, and that's for these personality types. You could also be forex traders, where you have millions with you, the bank's money, and when you just look at a currency slowly changing, increasing or decreasing, and you trade and you make money for the bank and your customers, that's for these kind of people. Yeah. Or on the other hand, if you're like me, everything at the last minute, okay, spontaneous, wants change, like how do I open a wrapper? I tear and I bite, and that's how I open the wrapper. If I want to go for a holiday, I plan at the last minute, the very very last minute. Yeah. Are there options for people like that? Yes, of course. You could get into the innovation lab of a bank, you could be in marketing, you could be in branding, you could be in social media advertising. Okay, so there are so many of these opportunities for even the last minuters. And then I particularly want to talk about the feelers. Some of you might be over emotional. You prefer to feel than think when you take decisions. Yeah, you're very compassionate. You're very soft and nice. You love to respect people. Now, for those kind of people, also there are umpteen opportunities. You could be in HR, you could be in employee relations, you could be in coaching, you could be in the department that I work in, learning and development. Okay, you could be in corporate social responsibility as well. So the point I wanted to make is, yeah, when you're about to choose your career, make sure that it is aligned with your strengths, because that's what research says. And if you align your career with your strengths, because you will do well as they're aligned, opportunities will come your way, people will respect you, and then you'll start loving your job. Now, if that's the right formula to succeed in your career, choose the banking sector. Because as I was explaining, be it the four pillars of having a successful career, be it the most advanced when it comes to embracing technology so that your jobs are relevant, or be it catering to every single personality type, we have jobs for you, and you can come to us, succeed, thrive, do well, and contribute to this amazing economy. So that's it from me. Thank you for the opportunity. If there are any particular questions, would love to address them. You can drop them in the chat box. Thank you.